You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Donald Trump compared immigrants to Hannibal Lecter. But would you believe this isn't the first time he claimed immigrants, and more broadly the left, are cannibals? QAnon, particularly Liz Crokin, is going absolutely nuts. Let's talk about it. Tucker Carlson came out swinging against evolution. It's an older clip at this point, but some extreme right news sources picked it up and are really leaning into the idea that evolution is fake. A pastor named Joel Webbin is gaining traction in the media for being absolutely insane. Some of his policy proposals include taking women's right to vote, installing a Caesar-like dictator as the leader of the US, and imposing Christianity on everybody. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. There's this guy named Doug Mastriano. He was the Republican candidate for governor in Pennsylvania in 2022, I think. And he lost to Shapiro. He's the Democrat. Shapiro is his last name. I don't remember his first name. Josh Shapiro, maybe? Anyway, Mastriano lost. I got some voicemails about Doug Mastriano and his status as the winner or the loser or whatever. So I want to listen to those voicemails, but let me just give you a little bit of lead up and talk about who Mastriano is. This one is from October 2022. This is directly before the election happened.
On day one, the sexualization of our kids, pole dancing, and all this other crap that's going on will be forbidden in our schools.
Dude thinks that pole dancing is being taught in schools?
On day one, all the graphic books that are in elementary schools will be pulled out.
He thinks they have like XXX rated sections in elementary school libraries or something. I mean, they have a pole to teach the elementary kids to dance on it, so why wouldn't they have an XXX rated section? It's just they don't have like the black curtain that some of these places have. I used to go to a head shop that had one of those, for like bongs and pipes and stuff. They had one of those curtains back there for, 18 plus. There's no 18 plus section in the schools though, see, because the kids can just walk into the library, get whatever, right before going to the poll, poll class. What is wrong with this guy? Does he believe this, do you think? Somebody asked for a kitty cam close-up. I will give you that if the kitty reappears. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, maybe I'll give a kitty cam close-up in the final version of this video when it releases.
On day one and done, critical race theory is out the window.
That's not taught in elementary schools. That is like a high-level class that lawyers take as a lens through which to view the law. It's a single class that you take to learn how to interpret things through that lens. They also have critical gender theory and, all kinds of critical theories, because you want to understand how certain qualifiers affect people and affect laws and stuff. It's a good thing to be able to view things from different perspectives. Lawyers must do that. It's like the whole job. So of course they'd have critical race theory, yes. But no, that's in elementary schools that they're teaching that. He's going to outlaw it in elementary schools. Great.
Yep. That's right. Yep. Come on.
Anyway, that's Doug Mastriano, if you're unfamiliar. Let me just show a couple more clips before we listen to the voicemail. We'll get there. This is Mastriano. He's walking down the street, comes across this dude wearing a flag, right? But it's not the American flag, as you'd expect.
You too. Introduce myself, Eric from Lancaster.
Eric.
It looks like the American flag, but you'll notice on the bottom here, it fades into the Confederate flag, right? And this guy carrying around a Confederate flag just completely bastardized the American flag. The founding fathers would be appalled. There's a flag code. You're not supposed to let it drag on the ground. You're not supposed to wear it as attire. You're not supposed to do any of that stuff. And you're supposed to treat it a very specific way. I think when the flag is too old to fly anymore, you fold it into a triangle and bury it. Is that right? It's been a while since I looked into flag code. This dude just is wearing a flag as a cape and melded it into the flag of an enemy nation to the United States. Okay, go on.
You too. Introduce myself, Eric from Lancaster.
Eric is.
I follow you every night on Facebook.
That is fan. Any
That does not surprise me for some reason.
words of wisdom for our constituents out there?
I wouldn't show up today.
You know what's even crazier? I didn't include this in like the lineup of videos I have for Mastriano, but I think he was a teacher at some point, and they had a day where people were going to dress up as certain characters from like wars that were relevant to them or whatever. And he dressed up as a Confederate soldier. Not a Union soldier, a Confederate soldier. Why did you pick the Confederate States? Why'd you do that? You could have been anybody.
Not unless you love America. You're looking good there, man.
Thanks.
I can't think of a better cape. Yeah.
He loves the cape. I mean, there, we can see it. I guess it's just two flags sewn together. What is wrong with Mastriano and this guy? Are you kidding?
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Doug Mastriano grabbed this video. He shot the video, and then he pulled it off his phone and uploaded it to the internet for us to see because he thought that was fantastic, that somebody is walking around with a cape here. Somebody said he's a complementarian. I get it. You know, I to some degree I am too. You know, you want to compliment people, you want to make them feel more comfortable in the conversation. That's not what this is, in my opinion. He wouldn't have taken pride in the fact that he said all of this. He's just complimenting the guy. He would have just, like, moved on. He posted this to the internet, okay? And also, this is the exact type of person that follows Mastriano and loves him, so. All right, one more. This is a QAnon conference. The two people on the right here, this poor fool with this American flag hat and an American flag shirt holding a sword, and the woman to his left, or to our left, to his right, I guess. They're both QAnoners. Francine Fosdick is her name, and that's her husband, I believe. They ran a conference, a QAnon conference, and invited Mastriano to it, and he showed up. Governor candidate for Pennsylvania in 2022. Again, he lost. I just want to show like how influential this guy was on society, on the constituents in the area.
When we were planning this conference, and I'm just thinking about the warfare that you both have gone through, and we thought, wow, Lord, what would be the best gift for them? And we thought of the David sword because you've been cutting a lot of heads off. And
Cutting a lot of what off of people?
heads off. And
I don't know what he's supposedly cutting. Is he cutting onions? Is this for cutting onions?
and
I wonder, is it a real sword? Is it sharp? Could he swing it around?
And so we had inscribed in there for God and country because you've been fighting for our country and you're fighting for our religious rights in Christ Jesus.
The religious right to impose my religious beliefs on everybody around me? Okay.
So we wanted to bless you with that sword of David. And then a bunch of goodies in here too. So it's kind of heavy. Hopefully it won't break. But
anyway, yeah, so they invited him to this QAnon conference, and he came, and they even gifted him a sword of David. His speech at the conference was even more psychotic. Look at this.
amen.
Oh, yeah. Where's Goliath?
Wait, I thought David Goliath. Oh, no, he cut Goliath's head off, right, with the sword? But I think he killed him with a rock and a sling originally, right?
Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Bless you. Wow, how powerful is that?
Anyway, yeah, so he gave a speech up there, too. And I just want to, like, listen to, like, a second or two of the speech, because it is even more psychotic than that, if you can believe it.
Really working in our state. I know things are dark. I know it's not going to be easy, but we're going to win on May 17th with your help.
next governor of Pennsylvania, the Chiron says.
And in November, we're going to take our state back. My God will make it so.
Oopsie, yeah, just picked a whole bouquet of oopsie daisies there, didn't he? Yeah, I guess God didn't make it so after all. Is that because God doesn't love you? Is it because he doesn't follow your commands? Because he doesn't like your ideology? What? Why didn't he make it so like you claimed that he would? I would love an answer to that. People clapping their hands into bloody nubs over here. My God.
It's going to be beautiful. Pennsylvania is going to be the freest, most hopeful, most constitutionally based state in the nation.
No to all of that.
People are going to want to move here, and Maryland as well.
Yeah, anyway, yeah, that's Doug Mastriano. Insane. I'm sure that I've made it clear by now that it is just absolutely nuts. It's so nuts, it's comical at this point, especially since he didn't win. Now we can laugh at it, right? I was kind of chuckling a little bit back then at how insane this was, but now we can really laugh at this. Anyway, I got a voicemail about this from somebody that lives in Pennsylvania. They disagreed with me on something, so I want to give this a listen. By the way, I don't usually edit voicemails, but I cleaned this one up because he called in twice, so I spliced them together. Check this out.
Hi, Owen. My name is John. I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I just wanted to correct you. I mean, I like your content, and I think you do a great job, but you were wrong about Doug Mastriano. He got shellacked. It wasn't even close. The polls closed at 8 o'clock. By 8:05, the networks, as Rudy Giuliani said, the networks had already declared Shapiro the winner. I don't want you to think I'm mad at you or anything, because I totally respect you, and I respect the content that you make and the messages that you broadcast. But like I said, Doug Mastriano got smoked.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. Yeah, no offense taken. It's really hard to offend me, seriously. People just shred me in the comments sometimes, and I don't even give a honestly. I know they got something going on in their lives that makes them really upset, so whatever. Just go nuts if you want to be upset. Anyway, I want to talk about this for a second, because it's interesting that he mentioned that. Take a look at this. So this is Josh Shapiro v. Doug Mastriano. Shapiro won. Absolutely correct on that point. He got smoked in a political sense, right? 41.7% to 56.5% is a crazy split. You almost never see a split that's that dramatic in politics, but here it is. You're absolutely right. He did get smoked. However, in every other sense, he didn't get smoked. 2.2 million people in Pennsylvania voted for this extremist nutcase who wants to take polls out of elementary schools because they're teaching elementary students pole dancing. 2.2 million people voted for that. That's nuts. So yeah, you're right that he got smoked, but I'm not there with you. I think Mastriano is a serious problem. I don't know if he's going to run again. Probably not. Maybe. But the underlying issue here is the really disturbing part. 2.2 million.
Hey, bro, it's Lou. Just wanted to call. I was watching your stream today, Thursday, May 9th, and you were talking about the rise in cancer. I know it's not all of the reason, but a large portion, we're not sure how much, is due to the rise in PCBs, or to put it simply, plastic particulates. Children born today are said to have a 4 in 3 chance of having
I assume you meant 3 in 4 chance.
Medical-related issues due to PCB. So there you go.
Yeah, I know that microplastics are a huge problem. It's all over the place. It's all over the air and everything. Single-use plastic was absolutely a terrible idea. Who came up with that, and why? That's awful. You know, they used to bring milk in glass bottles, and you'd return the bottles when you were done. Why do we give that up? You used to be able to turn a glass Coke bottle in for like 5 cents or something, and they'd reuse that one too. Plastics have caused untold amounts of damage to the environment, to people's health, and everything. It's bad. I mean, thank you for the phone call. It was pretty interesting. Got your other voicemails, by the way. I'm hearing them. I'm hearing the voicemails. I just, sometimes sometimes I have other voicemails play on air is all. I appreciate the voicemail, Lou. Anyway, yeah. Tell me what you think about Mastriano in the comments. In my opinion, this guy didn't really get smoked. Not as smoked as it appeared. Next up, Donald Trump compared immigrants to Hannibal Lecter. But would you believe this isn't the first time he claimed immigrants, and more broadly the left, are cannibals? QAnon, particularly Liz Crokin, is going absolutely nuts. Let's talk about it. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner.
That is absolutely insane. This is Donald Trump referring to Hannibal Lecter. If you don't know the reference, it's from a movie called Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal Lecter is famously a cannibal in that movie. He had somebody over for dinner, and I don't know how to say this I'm just going to be really, just broad strokes. He ate part of the person that he had over. Let's listen to the whole clip here.
Silence of the Lamb. Has anyone ever seen a Silence of the Lambs?
By the way, he's talking about immigrants right now and the left.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner.
What a disturbing thing to say. People laughing at this?
Remember the last scene? Excuse me, I'm about to have a friend for dinner as this poor doctor walked by. I'm about to have a friend for dinner.
What a disturbing scene. That was shocking and weird, disturbing that he'd even say that or even bring it up. That's a scene in movie history that people like to forget. It didn't add to the plot. It wasn't valuable in any way. They could have communicated the point better in another way, but I digress.
But Hannibal Lecter, congratulations, the late, great Hannibal Lecter. We have people that are being released into our country that we don't want in our country.
So the point is, ultimately, that the left and immigrants are like Hannibal Lecter in that they're cannibals. Absolutely psychotic. As a matter of fact, this isn't the first time that Donald Trump has said anything like this. Check this next one out. I mean, I really went digging to find other examples of it. And by the way, QAnon is going nuts over this right now. QAnon is absolutely off the rails. We're going to talk about QAnon in a second, too. Woman named... Liz Crokin, this woman here, and Mark Taylor, two QAnoners. You know, they'll have their part. But let's talk about this clip from Trump. This is an older one from Trump about Hannibal Lecter or whatever. Late February 2024. So not even that big of a gap between the two clips.
So we just call it migrant crime. We have a new category, migrant crime, and it's going to be more severe than violent crime and crime as we knew it. Because we have millions and millions of people, and they came from prisons and jails. They came from mental institutions and insane asylums. No, they're not the same thing. An insane asylum is a mental institution on steroids, okay? It's Silence of the Lambs, okay? You know that. Hannibal Lecter. They're all being deposited into our country.
Deposited. Interesting. I guess he's implying with that statement that immigrants are intentionally being shipped here from insane asylums. It's just wrong. It's not true. It's inaccurate. And Donald Trump, in my opinion, knows that. The only reason he's saying this right now is for shock value, is to get like CNN and NBC and everything else to talk about it. That's what I think. Now, I don't really care that Donald Trump said this. What I care about is how QAnon is reacting to the claim that immigrants are cannibals. It's absolutely insane. For good measure, before we talk about the QAnon thing, though, let me just show you. So there's a claim that's age old. You know, it's very old, but it was consolidated into one place. You know, all of these conspiracies about cannibals, the elites and all this other stuff, it was all kind of consolidated in an old book from 1905 or 1902 or somewhere in there called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. It was written in Tsarist Russia, and it was it plagiarized a French satire book that had nothing to do with it. Like 80% of it was plagiarism or something. And it outlines the Jews' plan for world domination and makes all kinds of wild claims about them eating babies and insane stuff. It consolidated all of the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories into one place. So, as I said, this is like a really old claim, an old accusation. It's called blood libel. You can look blood libel up on Wikipedia. The claim that Jews are eating babies or atheists are eating babies, like it's a meme at this point. You know, there are pictures of dudes with a baby in between a bun. Yeah, here we go. Atheism because babies are tasty. There you go. That's it. Anyway, the point is that it's an age-old claim against the other, particularly against Jews. Some other famous hits from Hitler that Donald Trump has repeated. I just want to go rapid fire here. There's this one from October 4th, 2023. It's Donald Trump saying that immigrants poison the blood of our country. Literally an exact word-for-word quote. Translation, of course, from German, from Hitler's lips to Donald Trump's.
You could go to a banana republic and pick the worst one, and you're not going to see what we're witnessing now. No control whatsoever. Nobody has any idea where these people are coming from. And we know they come from prisons. We know they come from mental institutions.
Just fabricated.
Insane asylums.
We don't know where they come from, but we know they're coming from insane asylums. How do you know that if you don't know where they're coming from? What?
Insane asylums. We know they're terrorists. Nobody has ever seen anything like we're witnessing right now. It is a very sad thing for our country. It's poisoning the blood of our country.
Boom. Hitler quote.
It's so bad, and people are coming in with disease. People are coming in with every possible thing that you can have.
I mean, not for nothing, but that whole they're coming in with disease thing was another justification for some of the atrocities that Hitler perpetrated in World War II, or like in Nazi Germany. He said there's what was it? Cholera? Was it a cholera epidemic that was going around in the area? I think it was cholera, or maybe typhoid. Anyway, there was an epidemic going around at the time, and Hitler told Jews that they had to live in these ghettos, and if they stepped outside of them, then they were going to be shot. And then, of course, he went into the ghettos and started, doing horrific stuff. The point is that, this entire thing is, literally exactly right from Hitler's lips. Check this one out. Another example of literal Hitler quotes at Donald Trump's rallies.
In honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin.
Vermin is the exact word used to describe Jews, largely, and other people, communists, political prisoners, religious minorities, and people like that. Vermin. What a bizarre thing to literally quote Hitler about. Anyway, the point is that Donald Trump is, in my opinion, doing this intentionally. The poisoning the blood of our country one was from October 4th, 2023. The vermin clip was from November 12th, 2023, so around the same time. And it's ramping up now. He's saying even more absolutely insane, heinous stuff. So let's talk about QAnon's reaction. If you don't know QAnon's beliefs in the first place, this is an older clip, but it should kind of draw out what QAnon thinks about, people eating babies or whatever. I mean, I'm dead serious. I showed a meme earlier because it's so ridiculous. They really believe this. Seriously. This one is from late May 2022. This is Mark Taylor on the left. He is a Trump prophet, quote unquote. He is the reason why some people believe that Trump is like a religious figure, because he's called the firefighter prophet, and he claims to have prophesied that Donald Trump would run for president and win 2 years before he actually ran and won. I mean, Donald Trump had been talking about running for president long before 2014, and he started kind of sticking stories in the news and ramping it up around that time. So it doesn't surprise me that people really tuned into what Donald Trump was saying in the first place, or tuned into politics at all, would say something like this, but that's neither here nor there. Listen to what QAnon believes about eating babies. At this point in time, there was a formula shortage caused by something. I don't remember what. There was a batch that needed to be recalled, I think, or something. And we had to ship some in from, like, Europe. Check out what Mark Taylor says about the formula shortage.
When politicians go to Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, this is why they lose all wisdom. Columbia is another name for Baal, the District of Baal.
I have no idea what he's talking about or where that came from. That's just nonsense.
They are working for and under the protection of the District of Baal, whose food source is the aborted babies. Do you think it's a coincidence that they are creating a food shortage for us? Did they know ahead of time that we were going after Roe versus Wade? They are going after our food sources because we are going after theirs.
How absolutely gone must your brain be to believe this, to be here in your life, to say something like that? That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Talk about insane asylums. Like, my God. Seriously, what a psychotic thing to say. Anyway, he goes on for a while, but the rest is irrelevant. This is Liz Crokin. I really wanted to get to Liz Crokin. She's a prominent QAnoner. And the reason that I bring up Liz Crokin in the first place is because she had a tweet go absolutely viral about this situation with Donald Trump talking about Hannibal Lecter and everything. Just let me give you a little introduction to Liz Crokin. This clip is from mid-August 2022. Give this a listen.
The White Hats tainted the elite's adrenochrome supply with the coronavirus, and that's why so many members of the elites are getting the coronavirus, if indeed they do have the coronavirus.
I'm surprised that she's even acknowledging that COVID is real, seemingly. The White Hats tainted the elite's adrenochrome supply? Like what? Adrenochrome is not real. Okay, it's a fake drug from a movie that was made up for that movie. The point of the movie was this guy does a lot of drugs, like a lot. He did every drug that you can imagine, and they even fabricated some. And he had a little Z carved in his forehead. Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Fascinating movie. Anyway, it's a made-up thing. It's fabricated. But these people believe that they're like, scaring kids to get their adrenaline pumping and doing like really horrific stuff to scare them. And then drinking their blood because, adrenochrome is in their blood once that's a metabolized version of adrenaline. In their mind, it's a really, really good high. In reality, adrenochrome doesn't do anything. It's easily accessible. Scientists can order it. All you have to do is take blood from somebody and filter out the adrenochrome. If you eat it or if you drink it or whatever, it just gives you a mild headache. That's it. It's like claiming that the elites are mixing cannabis ash in their drinks and sipping on it. Why would you drink the ash? It's spent. It's not usable. And if you really want an adrenaline high, there's a way to do that. Jump out of an airplane. This whole adrenochrome claim is the source of QAnon's claim that there are, I don't know how to say it, that there are pedophiles running around, running the country and controlling everything. So yeah, this whole thing is absolutely insane. And adrenochrome, the conspiracy theory around it does not hold water at all. At all. Like I said, it's not even hard to get, but just keep listening here.
So adrenochrome is a drug that the elites love. It comes from children. The drug is extracted from the pituitary gland.
No. It would be the adrenal gland, but it's not real, so it's no glands at all. She doesn't even get her fake lore correct.
Of tortured children. It's sold on the black market.
No.
It's the drug of the elites.
No.
It's their favorite drug.
No.
It is beyond evil. It's demonic. It is so sick. So there is a theory that the White Hats tainted their adrenochrome supply with the coronavirus.
Why would... I don't understand. There are so many questions to this. If the White Hats, quote unquote, the good guys in the military, that are secretly working for QAnon are capable of tainting adrenochrome supplies. Why wouldn't they taint it with, like, instead of COVID, taint it with, like, arsenic or, oh my God, what's the other stuff? Cyanide. Why don't they taint it with that? I don't understand. What is going through her head? She's not the only one by any stretch of the imagination. This is massive in the QAnon sphere. Massive. Let me show you what I mean. She had a tweet go absolutely viral the other day. Okay, here's the tweet and subsequent websites she linked to, which I can only show to a limited degree because of how absolutely psychotic they are. President Trump called Hannibal Lecter a wonderful man at his rally. Oh, by the way, the tweet has 1 million views, 6.2 thousand likes. I've had a tweet that big before. I actually have a tweet with, like, I don't know, 10,000 likes and maybe 4,000 like retweets, I think. I don't remember. It was about the Patriot Front group, the extremist group that's organized. But my tweet that had like 10,000 likes on it had 5 million views. So 1 million views is in the ballpark. That's plausible. I can see that. Anyway, that's why we have to talk about this. 1 million people. Really. President Trump called Hannibal Lecter a wonderful man at his rally. Normie liberals and the media are melting down on social media with outrage and faux outrage that he'd praise a cannibal. Here's what Trump said. Quote, Silence of the Lambs. Has anyone ever seen Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner. Remember the last scene? Excuse me, I'm about to have a friend for dinner, and this poor doctor walked by. I'm about to have a friend for dinner. End quote. Do you see what Trump did? He's getting his enemies to condemn cannibalism. Screenshot their tweet. Laughy emoji. Gotta fit that in there. Laughy emoji. Screenshot their tweets. They will come in handy one day when it's revealed some of their false idols are actual cannibals. Did you think spirit cooking was just pretend? Spirit cooking is another conspiracy theory. Just absolute nonsensical garbage. And it basically links back to Hillary Clinton's emails and Pizzagate and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's all garbage, all of it, all the way down. We'll talk about spirit cooking a little bit more, but just all you really need to know about it if you're unfamiliar is that it was an artistic project that somebody was working on that knew Anthony Podesta, Hillary's campaign manager, and one of his emails leaked. In fact, I think all of Anthony Podesta's emails leaked. Somebody got into his email through spear phishing attack and released all of his emails. And QAnon, well, the predecessor to QAnon, because it didn't exist yet as like a group. This was like in 2015, 2016 when this happened. QAnon, or the predecessor, went through it and found like all these secret code words and phrases and stuff that they believed pointed to like child abuse and drinking adrenochrome and all this crazy stuff. Is insane. Like I said, art project. And they twisted spirit cooking around as an art project to be like literal cannibalism. Like I said, I can only show little pieces here. Wait, there's a tweet from a QAnon account that she retweeted. Q said, "We are in full control. It's bigger than you can imagine. Here's a 3-part example of how big. 1, last month, fake Biden, quote unquote, tells a laughable story of how his uncle was eaten by, quote unquote. What the hell are you talking about? 2, yesterday we had a storm cannibal. I'm sorry? We did? Oh, okay. There's a solar storm that caused northern lights, the aurora borealis to like flash all over the place. It was really, really big. A magnetic phenomenon, basically. And I think maybe the biggest in like 100 years or something. Of course, we have a blanket over us, the ozone layer and the magnetic field and all that stuff. So we're protected from the sun largely. But largely, you have to still wear sunscreen and stuff. But I guess they said it's a cannibal of a storm. Okay. You're finding codes and little things all over the place that don't connect to each other. And you're like drawing dots from thing to thing that it's making, you found a picture, you have a picture in your head, and you're creating that picture by placing dots down and drawing the picture out. Insane. Absolutely insane. You know what? I'm not really a fan of the blue. I'm going to switch my color. Yesterday, we had a storm cannibal. I guess it was a solar storm. And 3. Today, Donald John Trump tells a story about Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter. Yes, we control Biden. Yes, we control storms. Yes, Donald Trump was trolling on 1 and 2 today. I don't know what the hell. So I guess they're saying that he's trolling because he said he likes Hannibal. Way to twist this around to your advantage? It seems like this would be a hit to QAnon's beliefs. Donald Trump said he likes somebody like Hannibal Lecter. I'm trying not to say the word too many times in this stream. He likes somebody who's like that. And they're twisting it around to say he was trolling people. And that he's trying to get people to denounce the practice so that it can be used against them later. Like, what? As if politicians don't lie constantly. I could give me a politician, any politician, and I can dig up 50 lies that they've said at some point. Most of them, not all of them. I guess Bernie Sanders probably hasn't lied very much. But anyway, the point is that it's not hard to catch these people in lies, and I don't know what he's talking about here. But if you noticed, just to step back to Liz Crokin's post, she had screenshots of stuff. So I looked this up because I wanted to know what this is all about. I wanted to see what she was screenshotting. One of them is the quote-unquote Human Farming Project on Facebook. It's a Facebook page. So I went there. You know, she's saying that there's a Facebook page where people are talking about because they're big fans, you know? They love to do it. I'll probably have to mute that word out a whole bunch. So I went there. I looked it up. This is the only Facebook page that comes even close to matching anything approximating what she put down. And it's simply called Human Farming. Not Human Farming Project, just Human Farming. So I go there and I start scrolling down. I'm not going to scroll down too far, but I just want you to see the first post on here. Vaccine checkpoint, mandatory vaccine checkpoint. This is a piece of propaganda that the right used to fearmonger and scare the bejesus out of everybody from here to Texas. That there are going to be vaccine checkpoints and you're going to be arrested if you don't have a vaccine and all this other junk. Never happened, by the way. Did they apologize for that? Of course they didn't. Anyway, it's a right-wing group. That's the point. She presented it as evidence that the elites and the people on the left generally are... Again, I'm going to have to mute that word so many times. She's implying that they're... But when we go there, we see that it's a right-wing group that is presumably outraged by the practice. Again, it's not even done by anybody. I mean, some psychos, Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff, when we find examples of this, we arrest them and give them the death sentence. And what about the other thing that she posted? It was a screenshot of this website right here, cannibalclub.org. So I go here and I start looking through, and the first thing I notice is that there's a home, cuisine, events, staff, FAQ, and contact options in the menu, right? First of all, it looks like it's a website from the 1990s or the 2000s. Bare bones HTML, almost guaranteed. Yeah, there is nothing more complex here than just HTML. Somebody probably spent an hour designing this. So you just let's take a look at what it says here. Let's zoom in on this puppy. Quote, whenever a taboo is broken, something good happens, something vitalizing, end quote. Henry Miller. Okay, I don't know who Henry Miller is. And, I guess that's a double-edged quote, you know. I guess I could agree with it to some degree. But some things are taboo for a good reason, like this. Anyway, specializing in the preparation of... This is a really hard subject to go through and stay monetized, so I'm going to do my best. I'm going to mute hard words that are hard to say. Specializing in the preparation of this kind of meat, Cannibal Club brings the cutting edge of experimental cuisine to the refined palates of LA's cultural elite. Do you really think that this was written by somebody on the left, created in an hour, bare bones HTML, and on top of that, out of curiosity, I wanted to see who owned the website. So I did a who is search. And wouldn't you know it, redacted for privacy, all the way down. The city, the administration phone number, and the tech phone number and email address, everything. It's all redacted for privacy. Interesting. It was, it's hosted by DreamHost, or not hosted, but registrar. You know, they bought the domain name from DreamHost. And it was registered in 2024. April 4th, 2024 is when it was registered. So anyway, the point that I'm getting to here is that I just don't believe that this is from like a real group of people. And if it is, go arrest them. Find out who it is and arrest them. The FBI, NSA or whoever does this, have the ability to just go in and find who owns this stuff. You know, subpoena DreamHost, get their IP address and find them, track them down through their ISP, and arrest them. But Liz Crokin believes that the FBI or the police or whoever are in on it, that they're taking part. This is obviously created by a right-winger to lend credence to the absolutely insane, unglued from reality claims. Our master chefs hail from around the world for the opportunity to practice their craft free of compromise and unbounded by convention. What? Who even talks like this? Who refers to anybody as cultural elites? Who says that? One group that I can think of refers to anybody as cultural elite. LA's cultural elites. Constantly. Our exclusive clientele includes noted filmmakers. Oh, you're going to tell us then? Noted filmmakers, intellectuals, and celebrities who've embraced the Enlightenment ideals of free expression and rationalism. Really. Free expression and rationalism are the values that got you here. This is written by a right-wing nutcase. It's sealed for me. I don't see how anybody could see it any differently than that. That's insane. Nobody talks like this. Nobody's in favor of this. The elite, quote-unquote, are not eating people like Jeffrey Dahmer. And Enlightenment ideals of free expression and rationalism, you know, the ideals espoused by Thomas Jefferson, one of the leaders of the Enlightenment and rationalism, those ideals do not help you arrive at this. On event nights, avant-garde performance artists, celebrated literary figures, and groundbreaking musicians entertain our guests. At Club, we celebrate artistic excellence as the natural and inevitable expression of the unbridled human spirit. This is so obviously fake. You can hit like cuisine and events, and as you go through, you'll find there's no way to, like, you can't book. There's no nothing here. It's not a real website. It's fake. Everything that you see here is all propaganda. These people are like Elspeth Blake, Sophie Lafitte or something. All of these people are either not real people, which wouldn't surprise me. These look like fake headshots. I should try to do like a reverse image search on these. Either not real people, or they are political opponents or perceived political opponents of QAnon in general. You know what? Out of curiosity, I'm going to look these up. I'm going to do a reverse image search. And by the way, it is an HTML website. There is no higher level of code. There's no like back end, no nothing. You can click on contact. This is the only place you can go that will get you anything, that will get you anywhere or get you in contact with anybody. We have no email address. They disabled the email address option in the Who Is search. So it says this form is not secure. Autofill has been turned off. Wow. Fascinating. Okay, let's do it, shall we? Owen Morgan. Organization, Owen Morgan. General question / comment, media inquiry, membership inquiry, moral outrage. Moral outrage is an option on their list here, or other. Let's do moral outrage. Hello. HULLO, period. Now, I'm doing this because I want to see if it redirects me to a PHP website. Actually, I can probably just check that. See if we can find the submit button. Yes, right here. Here we go. The input button does not go anywhere. You click it and it goes nowhere. Yeah, this is fake. It's just a fake website. Wait, it has CSS and no JavaScript, if you're unfamiliar with like how this works. Oh no, it does have JavaScript. What's this? It's got JavaScript to load images, I guess. Okay, super bare bones, basic JavaScript. Again, this stuff could be copy and pasted and designed in less than an hour. Oh, look at this. Look, it was copy and pasted from w3.org. Oh my God. They copy and pasted it. Anyway, the point is that, like, it's fake. Let's see what happens when I click it. The information you're about to submit is not secure. Because this form is being submitted using a connection that's not secure, your information will be visible to others. Oh, no, it's just a mail to option. They just put a mail to, like they're just emailing it. It's going through email, I guess. That's weird. I didn't see that in the code. Is that right? No, I'm clicking send anyway, and it's not working. It's not doing anything. Look, the JavaScript is commented out. I didn't even notice that. info3@cannibalclub.org appears to be the email address. Anyway, the point is, it's fake. It's all fake. All of this garbage that she posted is nonsense. She has to know that, right? She has to know that this whole thing is fabricated. Sadly, she's spoken at Mar-a-Lago. This is Liz Crokin speaking there about Pizzagate at a Mar-a-Lago event. All right, let me just give a little bit of, just a quick intro to Pizzagate if you guys are unfamiliar. Anthony Podesta was attacked through a spear phishing hack. They got into his emails and downloaded a whole bunch of them, and then there was a WikiLeaks thing that released all of them. It turns out Russia was the one that did all of the hacking. This is Russiagate. This is real. 100% completely and totally real. They hacked Anthony Podesta's emails and Hillary Clinton's and released like 30,000 emails or something. There was nothing there. It was innocuous, normal, boring conversation, but QAnon, or the predecessor to it, found things to turn into, crazy stuff. Like the word cheese pizza, the term cheese pizza, refers to CP, because, CP, cheese pizza, if you will. It's just all nonsense, all of it. Listen to her talk about Pizzagate here.
Some of the top people working at Balenciaga.
That's another ridiculous rabbit hole we don't need to go down. But these people believe Balenciaga is like taking advantage of kids or something.
We're also openly promoting cannibalism, satanic ritualistic abuse.
Who? She says the same people who like run Balenciaga or whatever? Who? Give me names. I want to look at these people. Let me just do like a reverse search on these images. I want to see if this is real or what. I mean, if these are real people. Search by image. Wait, is it Chelsea Clinton? It's a Chelsea Clinton lookalike, at least. Hillary Clinton's daughter. That's the search that comes up. Apparently, there's like a WordPress website. Oh my God. Yeah, it's just one more website that pretends to be for Cannibal Club, the People's Advocacy for a Refined Appetite. This person doesn't exist anywhere on the internet, literally anywhere, except for two places. There and the website that we just looked at. And she looks so similar to Chelsea Clinton that Google image search thought that's who I put into the search. Okay, this website looks a little bit more modern, but it's done through WordPress, so of course it would. Yeah, this is all just fabricated garbage, all of it. Works cited. What did they cite? Where are they citing works? They have a works cited page. What are they citing? Okay, well, just looking here, they cited How Stuff Works, How Cannibalism Works, and Cornell Law School, Cannibalism, Legal Information Institute, Amazing Facts, Cannibalism, Interesting Facts for Kids. Okay, I don't know what they're going on. Oh, this is just like a Blogspot website. Probably created by whoever created this whole, indexed set of websites, this spider web of websites that we've gone through here. Okay, so we did an image search on the first person, right? And the image search took us to just one more website that was just like the other. Let's try the other person. Who is this guy? He's just like a model, a male model, seemingly. Or maybe it's just detecting the glasses. I have no idea. Yeah, he's just like a male model. That's it. He's, used as an example of glasses on Etsy and, well, mostly Etsy, I guess. Vintage, Oakley, Jordan E. Wire, ASOS, eBay, and Cannibal Club. That's the only other place where we just looked. Anyone want to guess where the other pictures go? You guys think the other pictures go anywhere? Of course they don't. This is all fabricated. These people are not real. There's one exact match, or three exact matches. Blogger.com, WordPress.com, and CannibalClub.com. The only three places, the only web presence that these people have, the only web footprint, the internet footprint that these people have is 3 places total. And they don't update that. They're not on Twitter. They're not on anything. This is so transparently fake, right? How do people buy this? Does Liz Crokin really believe this? I think she does. Even though she's lying, it appears, seemingly knowingly stating false information. That's what it looks like to me. Even though she's doing that, I think she's a true believer still. Because I think she justifies it by saying it's for the right reasons. I'm lying to them, yes, but the ends justify the means. What I'm trying to reach for is a justification for literally anything. I can do anything to get there. Ends justify the means.
Blood rituals, child abuse. I mean, some of the worst stuff you've ever seen.
They're just complete nonsense. The point is, she gave a speech at Mar-a-Lago about Pizzagate. Even worse, Elon Musk tweeted about Pizzagate. I think it was Pizzagate. I don't remember now. He tweeted about it. He said, hey, this is interesting. And Liz Crokin, that breathed life into her conspiracy theory when Elon Musk did that. Because he is one of the elites, but he's one of the good elites. This is from late November 2023.
You have Elon Musk putting a laser pointer on Pizzagate. Do you think that Elon Musk would be putting a laser pointer on Pizzagate if it was just a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, I do. Because he wants to ingratiate himself to the right. Because he wants to bring in the QAnon viewers and the QAnon audience, the far-right audience. Really? You don't see why Elon Musk would do that?
If it was a hoax? If it was fake? No. He would not be putting a laser pointer on Pizzagate if Pizzagate wasn't real.
I mean, Pizzagate was debunked so long ago. I mean, the whole premise behind Pizzagate is that I think it was Comet Ping Pong and Pizza Parlor or something is what it's called. Comet Ping Pong. It's a place where, politicians go to have pizza sometimes. And that was listed as one of the places that Anthony Podesta gets his pizza in the emails. So QAnon is convinced that there's a trafficking ring linked into Comet Ping Pong. They were so convinced of it that they said that there's a basement in there where they're trafficking kids, and they even got pictures of the kids. It happened to be pictures of the staff members working there and the staff members' children, disturbingly. It got so big and insane that a guy actually showed up with a gun, like an AR-15 or something. I'm not sure what it was now that he had, which gun. He showed up there to save the kids, quote unquote. There's no basement in that building. They claimed there's a basement where they do all their bad stuff. There is no basement. The guy's arrested. I don't think anybody got hurt in that. He just wanted to save the kids, I guess. These people are unglued from reality, or they're lying. The thought leaders are either lying or completely delusional.
Since Elon Musk put a huge spotlight on Pizzagate, we finally have some really big accounts, some that have over 1 million followers, talking about Pizzagate, acknowledging Pizzagate's real, stating that Pizzagate not only is real, it always was real, and it's still ongoing. This is a huge turning point because in over 7 years, I don't think I've ever seen an account with millions of followers talk about Pizzagate, and it's slowly starting to happen. The tide is finally turned.
Again, completely 100% fake. Debunked a long time ago. But doesn't matter to her. She's going to spread the nonsense anyway and completely ignore the debunks. Just so you guys have an idea of what Comet Ping Pong looks like. This is Stu Peters wandering around Comet Ping Pong and talking about how disgusting and evil it is and everything. Stu Peters is a Nazi, by the way. I don't mean that in I don't like him and he has views that are questionable thing. No, he's a literal Nazi, actual Nazi. Talks about the Jews and everything all the time. His intro to his show, 500,000 subbies, by the way, on Rumble, and a podcast. It's gigantic. His intro on Rumble has pictures of anti-Semitic caricatures. I mean, stuff that has existed for like decades that's really, really awful. He hates Jewish people, seriously. It's bizarre. But just like watch him wander around Comet Ping Pong here. God, if I saw him outside, I would be so freaked out.
Whatever happened to Pizzagate?
Absolutely. It was debunked. Comet Ping Pong, their giant sign here. This are closed.
This is just sick. I feel it. You guys know about the pictures from inside of this place?
The pictures of the staff's children? Yeah, I am aware of those pictures. I mean, they weren't like weird pictures. They're just like pictures of kids. That's it. Like kids going to school and wandering around and stuff. And of course, some really disturbing shit spread throughout the QAnon sphere. I say predecessor to QAnon because QAnon wouldn't come for another year or so. This happened in 2016, I think. Pizzagate conspiracy started then. And QAnon came around about 2017. And Anon is a person on 4chan because they're completely anonymous on 4chan. It's like Reddit, except, there are no like accounts. There's no tracking of anything, no nothing. 100% as anonymous as you can get, basically. I mean, nothing's 100% anonymous, of course. Like, the FBI can usually track down just about anything, but it's as anonymous as you get, 4chan is. So anyway, they're absolutely psychotic on there because people can be the most evil and disgusting that they want to be. So naturally, most people, the vast majority, aren't evil and disgusting, but the evil and disgusting among us gravitate to areas on the internet where they can say all of the evil and disgusting stuff that they say. So 4chan has a whole bunch of boards. It's similar to Reddit, where it's like Reddit/r/xjw, for example, or whatever. It's that kind of setup, that style. And there was a guy on there that named himself Q Clearance Patriot, and he posted something claiming that he was a high up member of the military, a white hat in the military, and he was working against the deep state, and Hillary Clinton was about to be arrested. This is his first post ever. Hillary Clinton's about to be arrested. Just stop a National Guard person and ask him what his mission is or whatever, and that'll prove it. That's what he said. And other people tried this. Other people did this exact kind of thing. In fact, the same guy probably did it. By the way, the guy that started this, I believe, is a guy named Paul Ferber. Is this guy right here. If you've never heard of him before. He's in like some documentaries, some QAnon documentaries. Is just like a guy that's very opposed to the modern QAnon. He started it with help from Tracy Beans Diaz and a couple of other people. Anyway, he claimed that he had high up intel from the military. Hillary Clinton's about to be arrested. Never happened. But he continued posting stuff like that. And the mods on 4chan stickied it to the top so that everybody coming in saw it. And they all thought it was 100% real because, hey, it's stickied by the mods. It must be real, right? And it just exploded out from there. And they started saying some absolutely psychotic stuff, obviously, that kind of formed out QAnon. The poster never actually said some of the things that the adherents believe, but it was encouraged heavily by the leader, and it's a ubiquitous belief system largely within QAnon. Anyway, eventually Paul Ferber was convinced to go to 8chan, which was created by somebody. I forget what his name is now, but it was hosted by Ron and Jim Watkins, father and son duo. And once it moved over to 8chan, Ron Watkins, the guy that runs the servers and maintains everything, in my opinion, took it over from there. Forced Paul Ferber out of the equation and started posting as QAnon himself. His dad, Jim, absolutely obsessed with like old TV shows, Archie Bunker and Matlock and stuff. Would you believe that QAnon's password was actually hacked one time? It was Matlock. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that points to Ron and Jim Watkins running it together. It's very obvious that it changed hands at one point because the writing style is completely different. Started using like a ton of exclamation marks and saying the deep state constantly, the deep state this and that. It changed from a faux military academic professional style to an unhinged, outraged right-wing nutcase rant, like one of Trump's rants, you know. Anyway, that's what happened to QAnon afterward. And, you know, that's Stu Peters. Like, he believes in Pizzagate and is a QAnoner and is now wandering around Comet Ping Pong. My God, dude. By the way, this happened early June 2022.
The weird connections associated with Comet Ping Pong.
Weird connections?
People say that this is where Pizzagate originated.
People say? No, that's, you know, the target of Pizzagate. That's very obviously the origin, right? I mean, it was QAnon nutcases that started it, but what does he mean by that?
Just asking questions.
Just asking questions.
Look at this. It's all barricaded off. Backdoor only.
I like to call this JAQing off. I have to spell it for obvious reasons. Just asking questions. JAQ. He's complaining there are barricades here. Why do you think there are barricades there, Stu?
When people talk about secret societies and really deep, dark, demonic secrets and a satanic grip, like this is...
500,000 subbies, okay, in a gigantic podcast. This is not a nobody. You know, what's even more relevant and important is that he is a thought leader and one of the few large thought leaders in the QAnon sphere. There are not very many, not anywhere near as many people who agree with my views and come to me to listen to my thoughts. I mean, I have 400,000 subbies, so I'm roughly Stu's size, but there are way fewer QAnoners, and he's a gigantic thought leader proportionally. So everything that he says, all the ideas he espouses, all the propagandistic framing that comes out of QAnon, it's all from him, basically. And nearly all of it, not all of it.
Like, this is... Or have we just been paying attention?
No, you're not paying attention. Completely out of your head. Jesus, dude. So yeah, that is psychotic. Anyway, tell me what you think about this in the comments. Somehow QAnon spun what Trump said to work in their favor. Trump said he likes Hannibal Lecter. Great guy. He's a fan.
Silence of the Lambs. Has anyone ever seen the Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter is a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner.
That's a lot. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. That is absolutely bizarre. Next up, Tucker Carlson came out swinging against evolution. It's an older clip at this point, but some extreme right news sources picked it up and are really leaning into the idea that evolution is fake. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
Evolution is real. And if there is this constant...
It real? There's no evidence that evolution... In fact, I think we've kind of given up on the idea of evolution.
Who's we?
Theory of evolution is articulated by Darwin.
You got a mouse in your pocket? Is that why you're saying we?
Evolution. The theory of evolution is articulated by Darwin is like kind of not true.
Yeah, absolute nonsense. Evolution has time and time again been proven to be true. This is Joe Rogan, and he had a conversation with Tucker Carlson. This is a little bit of an older clip now, but they talked about evolution, and I wanted to address some of the absolutely unglued from reality things that Tucker had to say about evolution. He's probably going to get a copyright claim because Joe Rogan doesn't like being criticized, seemingly. He copyright claims everything. I'm dealing with copyright claims with him right now on my Unfiltered YouTube channel.
If we don't think people are important, then what do we think is important? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Not necessarily that we don't think people are important, but if evolution is real, and if
I get, like, in this part, I got the indication that Joe was about to ask a question and then decided to state evolution is real as a fact. Joe seems to believe in evolution or accept evolution as the fact that it is, right? I mean, I don't like the guy very much, but
real. And if there is this constant, I don't know.
Yes,
but it's visible. Like, you can measure it in certain animals.
You can measure adaptation.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that evolution. In fact, I think we've kind of given up on the idea of evolution.
Dude, I love that he accepts the core pillar of evolution, the thing that makes evolution, and says this is not real. All you need from that point is time. You just need time. Adaptation and time. 3 pillars. Gene mutation, gene duplication, and selection. Natural selection, artificial selection, sexual selection, so on and so forth. And then time being the 4th pillar, I guess.
Theory of evolution as articulated by Darwin is like kind of not true. Right?
In what sense?
Yeah, in what sense?
Well, in the most basic sense, the idea
that doesn't tell me anything.
That, all life emerged from a single cell organism and over time, and there would be a fossil record of that, and there's not.
There is a fossil record.
And
there's not a fossil record of transitionary species, like species that are adapting to its environment.
There's tons of record of adaptation, and you see it in your own life. I mean, I have a lot of dogs.
Bro, that's what everybody is saying. That's what we're saying. Does Tucker believe this? I don't think so. I don't think Tucker is as stupid as he pretends to be. I have my reasons for thinking that, but I believe that Tucker knows what he's doing and is doing it intentionally. It's so hard to tell if people are for real or if they're completely full of it. I think Liz Crokin is a true believer. QAnon or Liz Crokin. I think she believes it to her core. Tucker seems 100% fake to me. Jehovah's Witness leaders, I think they believe it to their core. The leader of Heaven's Gate, I think he believed it to his core. A lot of the leadership in the Mormon Church, I think they're just pretending and taking advantage of everything. I mean, I guess it just kind of varies from person to person. I think Tucker is faking it.
Your own life. I mean, I have a lot of dogs. I see adaptation in dogs, through the...
Sure.
Through litter to litter. But no, there's no evidence at all that...
Yes, there is.
None, zero. That, people, evolve seamlessly from a single cell amoeba. No, there's not. There's no chain in the fossil record.
Yes, there is.
Of that at all. And that...
See, this is the thing. This is propaganda. This is Tucker propagandizing. This is how propaganda works. Let me just, I've been writing a book about World War II and Germany and how it got to where it was. I'm not trying to compare everything to Germany here, but there are some patterns that emerge that are, ubiquitous. Every single time some psychotic stuff happens in a country, you can find these qualities, these things. Hitler was leading the Nazi party, which was reasonably small, but not... It's kind of like MAGA in 2016. It wasn't like... They hadn't gained political power fully yet. But there were some nutcase, MAGA people in office that were spouting off about how great Trump is at the time. That's kind of how big it was in, I think, 1923, when Hitler had the Beer Hall Putsch, or the Munich Putsch. It was a coup attempt, a full-blown coup attempt where Hitler marched an angry crowd of rioters up to the Capitol building and captured 3 members of parliament, 3 congressmen basically, and forced them to name people who would be in the new government that he was forming. The only reason his January 6th, if you will, didn't work, Hitler's that is because he didn't cut communication in the city. He didn't prevent people from leaving to call the military in. He should have cut communication first. That's why it failed. Anyway, he went to prison for... he was sentenced to 5 years for high treason against the German government. He only served 9 months. The people that sentenced him said They wanted him to have deaf guards so he couldn't talk them out or talk them into releasing him. I don't think he actually had deaf guards, but that was the sentiment of Hitler at the time. So while he's in prison for high treason, he outlines his propagandistic methods. He probably picked these up from somewhere else. A lot of this stuff is picked up from Mussolini's fascist party, which was on the rise, maybe taken control already. I think in 1919 it took control. This is in 23. I could be wrong on those dates, but you get the idea. It was around that time. And Mussolini implemented a lot of propagandistic methods and stuff already. The original fascist, the fascist party. So listen to some of these propaganda ideas that Hitler was coming up with while sitting in jail. By the way, it's just from my notes, so it's just like what I wrote down. Propaganda must be distilled into a few small slogans and repeated until every idiot has heard and understood the basic point. Yeah, Hitler viewed everybody as just idiots. The general populace is just full of idiots. Oh, and they're all feminine, too, everybody. Not women, just, feminine, I guess. The public's power to forget is enormous. Propaganda should always be based on emotion, not reason, because most people are feminine. Women think with emotions rather than logic. So even the men are feminine because they think with emotions. Everybody. Except Hitler, of course. Must be continuous. This is called Fire Hose of Falsehoods, and it was perfected and named, I believe, in 2014 in Russia. I think that Putin popularly created didn't create it. It was in use before, but it was in heavy use. And let me see. Was it named in 2014? Yeah, okay. The Rand Corporation coined the name Fire Hose of Falsehood in 2016, 2 years after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2014. They invaded Crimea and took that land and hold it to this day. Anyway, yeah, that's the idea behind it. Fire Hose of Falsehood. You have to get it out in every media outlet you can possibly hit and distill it down to a few short, easy sentences, like single sentence. Russia, 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 or fake news, or whatever. There are a billion different examples. Hitler used Lügenpresse, lying press, fake news. The sentences that you say can be distilled into slogans, and the slogans will eventually turn into single words or phrases, very short phrases, which will eventually get into everybody's head. In one way or another, everybody will hear these short little quips. That was Hitler's plan. There's a point behind this, and it relates back to Tucker. Bear with me. Must never admit to being wrong. Short sentences, powerful emotive statements, build to a climax, rise in pitch, climbing to an emotional crescendo. No qualifiers, everything was final, absolute. He drew a parallel with his own poverty-stricken life to relate to the working man, appealed to religious archetypes to resurrection, suffering, humiliation, redemption, without ever overtly using religious language. Yeah, that's unrelated, but the simple common denominator in all of his propaganda was the Jews, of course. If something bad happens, like January 6th, wait for the public to forget, and then work on small local rural areas to flip the narrative to one of heroism. Remember, society is forgetful. People don't remember the crazy stuff that happened. So yeah, the beer hall putsch was awful and horrific, and it was a full-blown treasonous attempt at taking the government. And everybody was unhappy with the Nazi Party after that, and Hitler. But he had people slowly but surely work into the system. They were getting elected in city councils and boards and things like that, and writing op-eds in newspapers that were inflammatory. These people are really heroes. Slowly but surely reworked the image, the interpretation, or the perception of what happens. Does that sound familiar at all to anybody? Anyway, the reason I bring all of this up is because that's exactly what Tucker is doing here. Now, this is not new. This isn't like Tucker's doing. Everything he's doing, he's just repeating age-old propaganda about evolution. Must never admit to being wrong. No qualifiers. Everything is final and absolute. I am correct. There's zero evidence to prove evolution, is what he said a second ago. Remember?
Litter to litter. But no, there's no evidence at all that zero.
See how the absolute is coming out?
That people, evolve seamlessly from a single cell amoeba. No, there's not. There's
Portraying the other as ridiculous in these short little slogans. I mean, that wasn't in the propaganda list that I took, but that was part of it.
There's no chain in the fossil record of that at all. And that's why you don't actually hear people, you hear them make reference to evolution because the theory of adaptation is clearly, obviously true.
Giving an alternative.
But Darwin's theory's totally that's why it's still a theory.
And there is another piece of propaganda. The general public, just a theory, the general public will hear that slogan, that quip, and it will resonate with them because the general public aren't made up of scientists. They don't realize that theory has a different meaning in the scientific community. Yeah, the theory of evolution is a theory, just like the theory of gravity, the theory of relativity. There are a billion theories. Germ theory of disease, it's all made up of theories. That's science. It's not... He's using the word theory here as a scientist would use the word hypothesis. Kind of a blind guess, closing your eyes and throwing a dart at the board and seeing if you hit something. That's how people, create this. You come up with an idea, an explanation that you think makes sense, and you test it, you falsify it, you poke holes in it, you do everything you can to prove it wrong, and if it stands up to scrutiny and it has a predictive quality to it, then it sticks, then it stays. And you can derive laws from that theory. But the general public doesn't know that. And when they hear just a theory, it's a quick, easy slogan that they can throw out. Anytime this conversation comes up, anytime they hear the word evolution or whatever, they can throw that out there. Like I said, Tucker didn't come up with this, I don't think. No, I mean, I've heard this a billion times from other people long before Tucker. But he's just repeating the same propaganda that's been used for like decades.
Darwin's theory's totally that's why it's still a theory almost 200 years later. No, we have not found that at all. And I can't even guess. I mean, I have my own theories on it, but they're not proven.
What are your theories?
Yeah, again, he's saying I have theories, but they're not proven, trying to link the two. Not proven and theory, right?
Proven.
What are your theories?
God created people, distinctly. And
okay, that's not a theory. That's just a blind shot in the dark that has absolutely no evidence or proof or whatever to it. You want to believe that? Fine. But we're talking about science here. God may exist out there. It's not impossible, I suppose. But he did not create the earth in 6 literal days. He didn't create plants a day before he created the sun. Nor was that day thousands of years long, or millions, or whatever. Gap theory. The days of creation were actually eons. No. You can say God, kind of kickstarted the first life and guided evolution, if you'd like. That, whatever. I mean, there was no way to prove that true or false. So it's still a hypothesis. But if you want to say that, sure.
What are your theories?
God created people.
It's not a theory.
Distinctly, and animals. I mean, I think that's what every person on Earth thought until the mid-19th century, actually.
Right.
Not really. I mean, there were others, deists, and, there were atheists. Voltaire was famously an atheist. But yeah, I guess the majority of people in the Western world, in Europe and the United States and other areas, they believed in a god of some sort, usually the Christian god, right?
Actually.
Right. But
it's not a new idea.
Dude, imagine having that laugh. That'd be a nightmare.
They didn't have computers. They didn't have a general understanding that we have today of the process.
Do you think we understand more now?
What? That is such a stupid question. That is a stupid thing to say. Do you think we understand more now? Really? Yes. Yes, we do. We understand more now. There was a point in time when we thought that the elements of the universe were when we thought the elements of the universe were water, fire, soil, and wind or something like that. Or ground or whatever. Ground was one of them. And now we realize that the elements of the universe are, hydrogen, oxygen, I don't know the order of the periodic table, but, carbon and silicon and so on and so forth. We learned that elements are separate, distinct pieces, separate, distinct structures. And we learned to write chemical formulas. You know how we learned that? By separating out. We have a guaranteed way to separate hydrogen from oxygen, right? So all you have to do is electrocute water and have like two things over top of it, and hydrogen will go in one and oxygen in the other. It splits it in half when it vaporizes. That's how submarines create their oxygen that they breathe. Anyway, electrolysis, that's how you create hydrogen and oxygen. You can weigh those two elements, those two, you can weigh what comes out of electrocuting water and get a rough idea of how much of one element is in an equation to how much of another. So that's how they discovered this stuff at first. That's how chemical formulas came to be written. If it didn't divide evenly, so like if you have like 0.3 carbon atoms to 0.5 oxygen atoms or something, for example, you have to like go up until you find the lowest common denominator, the least common denominator, whatever it is, until they're all whole numbers. And that was reaffirmed that is in fact true. That is how it works. And we even know what they look like because we've seen them with X-ray crystallography. We can see the shapes of molecules. Seriously. Shine an X-ray at things, at crystals, ice cubes, or whatever, and you will see the shape of molecules. I mean, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to just see it without the context. But scientists have been working on this for like a very long time. This is an example of X-ray crystallography, basically. You're shining an X-ray through and seeing this molecule. The center, this is an atom, I think. The center is black, usually. I don't know why there's this weird white circle here, but usually the center is black because the probability that an atom or that a particle, some piece of the atom will be there is very, very high. This is an interference pattern. So the darker that it gets, the less likely that it's going to be that we'll find something there. So this is a valence band right here, for example. You know, inner valence bands, outer valence bands, atoms don't actually, circle the way that, like, the electrons don't circle atoms that way, actually. But it's just a simplified example. This is a real image of an atom, though. The white circle is to tweak HDR for good detail visibility. Oh, there you go. Thank you for the information. Yeah, it's usually a black circle in the center. So we discovered it and reaffirmed that we have the chemistry correct. So apparently I confused my editor with this statement. Some people may not be aware. I took a year or 2 years in chemistry because I wanted to be a chemist. So I kind of have a little bit of insight into how this works. When I say atoms don't circle around a nucleus, or electrons don't circle around a nucleus the way that planets circle around a sun, what I mean is it's more like a honeycomb structure where they're shooting into and out of an area, and they're moving in a very specific direction, and they have a probability of being in this place rather than that place. Now, there are bands, valence bands, that are further out from the nucleus than others. And that's how they gain energy or lose energy. That's how molecules are formed, because they share a valence band, they share electrons, that kind of thing. That's what I mean when I say it doesn't move around like planets around a sun. It's an example of a theory, chemical theory or something. I don't even know which one that is. That's an example of something that we had, information we had, that we have now that we didn't have 200 years, 300, 400, 500 years ago. In fact, I think that was discovered in the early 1900s, specifically, to mid-1900s. We know more now, like a lot more.
And more now?
Yes.
Really?
You don't think that we understand more today?
We understand way less. We understand.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard from somebody, I think.
We understand way less. We understand so little that we're actually sitting here allowing, like, a bunch of greedy, stupid, childless software engineers in Northern California to, like, flirt with the extinction of mankind.
What? He's talking about AI. Software engineers from Northern California are flirting with the extinction of mankind by working on AI, and they're childless. How do you know they're childless? You think that every software engineer is childless? What are you talking about? Where did he come up with that? And why did he emphasize it? Well, the reason he emphasized it is because he wants you to think that they're not invested in the future of the planet. They don't care what happens because they don't have children. So they're just going to, like, do whatever and take massive risks with everything because why not? But I don't know where he got the idea that they're childless. That's insane. Another quick little slogan, a little quip, an easy thing. They're childless. That's why they're doing it. An explanation for something.
So no, previous generations would be like, what? No, stop.
Anyway, the point is that Tucker is absolutely unglued from reality in this entire thing. And he's propagandizing. Whether he realizes this, whether he came up with this, it's all propaganda. It doesn't matter. But fascinatingly, the right has come up with these really interesting like websites and articles, like news articles and stuff, supporting Tucker and condemning evolution. I just want to like read through this real quick. This is on Standing for Freedom Center, the Standing for Freedom Center, standingforfreedom.com. The title of the article, God vs. Darwin. Tucker Carlson rightly calls out evolution as nonsense. Written April 30th, 2024. Let's just read a little bit of this. By the way, this is supposed to be like a news website. That's how it's being presented. Christians should not only reject the Big Bang and evolution theories, but they should wholly embrace six-day creationism because it upholds the authority and trustworthiness of the Bible as divine revelation and demonstrates God's omnipotence, omniscience, and sovereignty over all creation. Why does God need that demonstrated? Can't he just come in and speak it into our minds all at once? Like when we come to consciousness, 10 years old, God programs something in our heads that auto plays on our 10th birthday. Everybody's 10th birthday across the entire planet that says, I am God, I created you, blah, blah, blah. That would be pretty convincing and compelling at the very least, right? Instead, what we have is a world that looks exactly how it would look if there was no God. I don't know if there is one or not, maybe, but it looks precisely like it would if he wasn't in the picture at all. It's kind of interesting. Tucker Carlson, a prominent figure in American media and politics, has recently shifted his discourse, delving into fundamental philosophical and religious questions. This change in his discussion topics is significant, as it explores the deeper meaning of the political battles that our nation is currently witnessing. There's a political battle over evolution? Okay, interesting. Carlson certainly seems like he's not far from the kingdom, quote-unquote. His journey toward Christianity appears to be a gradual one, marked by introspection and Bible reading. As far as I'm tracking, he's yet to openly call himself a Christian. Still, he continues to articulate deeply Christian themes and truths, both on his own platform and in his media appearances. Does that sound familiar? Didn't we just read something like that? Appealed to religious archetypes like resurrection, suffering, humiliation, redemption, etc., without ever using overt religious words or specific ideas from religious groups or whatever. That was one of Hitler's written down propaganda techniques when he was sitting in jail for high treason in 1923, I think, or somewhere in that vicinity. Recently, Carlson joined the famous podcaster Joe Rogan for a long-form and wide-ranging conversation about a wide array of topics, including whether aliens are actually demons. Spoiler alert, they are. Yeah, I covered this entire thing if you want to see it. It's on my Unfiltered YouTube channel. Link in the description to that. It's actually releasing as we speak, I think. Watch the whole thing beginning to end, all of it. What caught my attention was the unexpected manner in which Carlson dismissed the scientific theory of Darwinian evolution as laughable. I wasn't expecting such a frank and even scornful rejection of what has long been a tenet of modernity. It was refreshing. Here's a lightly edited transcript of that portion of the interview. Quote, "There's no evidence that evolution is true. In fact, I think we have kind of given up on the idea," so on and so forth. We saw it. And then they go on to break down line by line in text form. That's absolutely fascinating. So when Tucker was asked, what are your theories? He said, God created people distinctly and animals. I think that's what every person on Earth thought until the mid-19th century, actually. That's not a new idea. I guess this person posted some quotes from the Bible. As Answers in Genesis explains, not Answers in Genesis, oh my God. When we look carefully at Genesis 1 in Hebrew or even in English, it's clear that God created everything in 6 literal 24-hour days. Yeah, the word there is yom. The word that's used, it's commonly used to refer to a day. But the book of Genesis is not normal literature. It's something called origin literature. It's also called antiquity literature. That's the Roman version. That's the Roman word for it. The Greek word is archaeological literature. And it differs from normal literature in that it just takes a bunch of anecdotes from people at the time and compiles them all into a single book. You know, Genesis is made up of like 12 different books, right? It compiled it all, and it doesn't omit, you know, anything from fact to legend to completely fictitious experience. It just gets people's stories, campfire stories and stuff. You know, there's an old story about a frog, and I think it's a frog and a scorpion, and they want to cross the river. Scorpion says, "Take me across the river." The frog says, "No, you'll sting me." Scorpion says, "No, I promise I won't. We'd both die then, and I don't want to die, so I promise I won't." They get halfway through the river. Scorpion stings the frog. He said, "Why'd you sting me? Now we'll both die." He said, "Because I'm a scorpion. That's what scorpions do." An example of a moral lesson that has no basis in fact whatsoever. I don't even know what the moral lesson's supposed to be from that. Bad people do bad things? But it has talking animals and complete misrepresentation of how reality works. Suspension of belief about reality. And that's fine. It's a campfire story. That's what the book of Genesis is, all the way through, beginning to end. A bunch of people wrote down their campfire stories. So yeah, he said in 6 literal days, Yom, in 6 days, God created the earth. Because it was a campfire story. I mean, these people are just shameless and either completely clueless on this information or intentionally propagandizing. It has to be one of the two. Tell me what you think about Tucker in the comments. Is he one of the people who's shamelessly propagandizing and lying? Or is he a true believer? I think he's lying, personally. Gravitational waves were proven almost 100 years after being predicted by Einstein. Yeah, that's a good point. Gravitational waves, that's true. They had a big, gigantic thing that shined a laser to one end and had mirrors that reflected it and everything to detect gravitational waves. Yeah, that's the predictive power of a theory. It can predict things, and whether it's been proven at this immediate moment, you try to prove it wrong. That's the goal. Prove it wrong somehow. If we proved that gravitational waves did not exist, it would be evidence that we need to tweak Einstein's theory of relativity in some way to make it more conform with reality. Look at quantum mechanics. We don't understand quantum mechanics. It's weird. Spooky action at a distance. You know, quantum tunneling. Sometimes there's a big thing, a barrier between electrons so that they can't pass over the bridge. In a transistor, for example. Sometimes the electron will just zip over to the other side. Just boop, disappear from reality and reappear on the other side. That doesn't make any sense. When you measure an atom, or some quality of the atom, spin or speed or whatever it is, you kind of collapse the atom's wave function, and it just stops, all of it. So you can take a piece of the atom and move it further away across the earth, and instantaneously, when you stop the piece over here in North America, the other piece over there in China stops. Instantly. Instantaneous communication. That's weird. There's something that we don't understand about that. There's something like not right. That's not a failure of reality. That's not a failure of anything except for our own understanding of the situation. There is an explanation, an overarching theory that explains this entire thing. We just don't have it yet. We haven't figured it all out yet. That's all. I read this book called Fabric of the Cosmos by Brian Greene a while back. It was absolutely fascinating. He talks about how we know for a fact that quantum entanglement is actually, instantaneous communication, not just like you have a left glove and a right glove, and somebody takes the right glove and puts it in a case and goes to the top of Mount Everest and opens it, and now they instantaneously know that the other one is a left glove. It's not like that. That's what Einstein thought. No, it's actual, real, instantaneous communication, and we know it through a study that happened in 1972. Whole big mathematical thing about it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just think it's super fascinating. Next up, a pastor named Joel Webbon is gaining traction in the media for being absolutely insane. Some of his policy proposals include taking women's right to vote, installing a Caesar-like dictator as the leader of the U.S., and imposing Christianity on everybody. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
Let's say you can wave your Christian nationalist wand. We wake up tomorrow in a Christian nation, a Christian nationalist nation as you're describing, all right? There's a lot of fears that people have. Here's one of them. Will women have the right to vote tomorrow if you wave that magic Christian wand?
No.
Okay, why not? I want to get into why not. Yeah, that's great.
This is a guy named Joel Webbin. You may be unfamiliar. I was unfamiliar with him until very recently, but he's, obviously a self-avowed Christian nationalist who wants to take women's right to vote away. And surprise, that's not the only psychotic thing he wants to do. I want to talk about this guy because it is unglued from reality. And by the way, I apologize for the poor quality. Some of these videos are poor quality because I pulled them from like TikTok or people that tweeted TikToks that are really tiny. Anyway, check this clip out. This is also from Joel Webbin. That last one about women was from early April. This one is from early May 2024. Check this out.
God appoints some kind of ruler who is unapologetically Christian, and he comes in with a sword and says, I'm sorry, but lawlessness and wickedness will not be tolerated anymore. And he doesn't force conversions, just for the record, because that's another one of the objections that's just ill-founded.
Okay, one of the objections to Christian nationalism, they're going to force conversion on people. All right? Yeah, that is an objection that I have. That you're going to force me to conform to this way of life and comply with whatever and pretend to be Christian. Yeah, that's my objection. So he says that's not going to happen. Okay, go on.
He doesn't go around forcing conversions, but instead what he does is he forces external morality. He doesn't force a change of heart. Only the gospel can do that.
Okay, I didn't expect a dictator, as he's talking about right now. He's saying a dictator is going to come in and force people to convert to Christianity. He's saying the dictator isn't going to be able to, like, change your heart, because only the gospel can do that, but you're going to pretend to be a Christian.
But what a king can do is he can say, whether you're regenerate or not, you're going to pretend.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was afraid of. He says, that's one of the objections, so let me just, assuage that fear now. You didn't assuage. I'm still sitting here disturbed by your entire belief system and movement. What the hell's happening? Dude says, don't worry, you're not going to be forced to convert to Christianity. Bible can only change your heart condition. We're just going to force you to pretend to be Christian. Okay.
You're at least going to pretend to be Christian.
He says this with a straight face. Yeah.
They're not free thinkers. They're not courageous.
Talk about men, I guess, generally. He wants a dictator here. And I guess his ideal system is a monarchy, right?
They're not intelligent. They're men. And men must be governed. And if they must be governed, then our prayer as Christians that they would be governed in the right direction, at least.
By him, I guess. By this guy? Is he the dictator? I don't know.
For the good of the church.
For the good of the church. Yeah, he didn't help anything. I still am, like, deeply disturbed by this guy. This Matt Walsh lookalike. Dead ringer for the guy, right? That's bizarre. Yeah, he's been making a big splash. You know what drew my attention to this in the first place? First of all, I think Right Wing Watch Twitter account's been talking about him and others. Christian Nightmares on Twitter. I think Hemant Mehta might have released something about him. Anyway, the reason people are talking about him right now is because he's plugged into the political sphere heavily. I don't know if you guys remember Dusty Deevers. This is Dusty Deevers. He's a politician from Oklahoma, and he's said some completely backward things. I mean, this is just one example of the bizarre thing that Dusty Deevers, politician from Oklahoma, has said.
Today, I want to ask and answer the question, what must you and I do to love our IVF embryonic neighbors as ourselves?
In vitro fertilization, a treatment for people who can't have kids, but want to have kids. And he says that, basically they take the egg cell out and they mix it with the sperm cell, and they do like 12 of them because it's an invasive procedure to retrieve the eggs. Not so much for the sperm, but anyway, they get like 12 eggs out or whatever, and they fertilize all of them and they freeze them as blastocysts. They have like 150 cells or something total when they're frozen. You know, it may not even be blastocyst stage. Maybe it's just embryo, just 2 cells. I'm not sure. Anyway, he says that that's a living, thinking person with a soul, and that's just wrong. They implant the embryos one by one as, you want more children. Until then, they stay in storage. But afterward, they discard the medical waste because it's unnecessary. It's unneeded by the owner, like the person who had the cells to begin with.
Ourselves. Why should this matter to you? Well,
yeah, why should it matter?
We've heard why it should matter. Millions of our embryonic neighbors unnecessarily are being led to slaughter every year by IVF and assisted reproductive technologies, and countless others are cryo-incarcerated in frozen prisons.
Cryo-incarcerated in frozen prisons. He just said that. Seriously. The delusion is strong with this one. Anyway, the reason that we're talking about Joel Webbin in the first place is because he shared a stage with Dusty Devers and a couple of other people recently. Doug Wilson was on that same stage. These people are not nobodies. They're influential. Now, we're going to hit Doug Wilson's position on things in just a second, but let's watch this Matt Walsh doppelganger here. If he needed a body double, that guy. If Matt Walsh was acting and he needed somebody to get in the car that's going to do the jump or drop from an airplane or something, he'd be perfect for the job. Anyway, let's listen to what he has to say here. Check this one out.
We're degenerates. We're not even close to we're degenerates. The Constitution is not it's not suited for governing degenerates.
No, actually, the Constitution is perfectly and exactly suited to govern degenerates. That is exactly what it was designed for, so that people had the maximum amount of freedom, which, by the way, this guy doesn't want. He does not want freedom. He wants less freedom. He wants a king to come in and act like an emperor, a dictator, and impose his will on everybody around him, and that will is become a Christian. Anyway, the Constitution is designed to allow everybody to live their life the way they want to live it. Your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. You can swing your fist anywhere you want except for right here, because then it's a violation of my rights, not you exercising yours. Right? So people have the right to do whatever they want up until the moment that they're interfering with somebody else's rights. That's the idea behind the Constitution. That was like the core principle behind this whole thing. So the thing is, the United States is made up of so many different people, from so many different backgrounds and experiences and religions and races and everything. It's a gigantic melting pot. Not everybody is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, but this guy wants to impose at least the Protestant part on everybody, or the Christian part. Force people to conform to it. He doesn't want the Constitution.
For governing degenerates, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, if you agree, disagree. But I think for our population that is degraded morally and culturally, as far
what is he even talking about right now? People are just experiencing their lives. They're just doing their thing. Our culture, quote unquote, is not like any more decayed or degraded than it's ever been. What does that even mean exactly? Morally degraded? To whose morals? We all have different moral systems that we adhere to.
And religiously, as far as we have, you need power. Men must be governed.
What a disturbing, creepy thing to say.
You need a Caesar type, now if you're
a dictator, he's saying dictator. You need a Caesar-like dictator.
Asking me my preference, that would probably be my preference, would be a constitutional republic. But I think the conditions for that is a moral people. So I think you can work towards that in the future. But I don't think constitutioning even harder is going to get us out of our current mess.
Mess, of course, when he says mess, he's talking about moral decay, quote unquote, and having atheists in the country, or having, Muslims in the country, or Hindus or Buddhists or Shinto. Oh, I'm on a roll now. I mean, name your religion, and you can't be that religion. You have to be not just Christian, but his brand of Christian, his specific Christian nationalist view. By the way, nationalist means, well, in a political sense, it means having an overarching national identity imposed on you. It is, by its nature, an extreme patriotic, like over-the-top patriotic movement that believes that nobody else has the authority to govern except for the group that you want. If it's just like a nationalist, then it's a United States nationalist. No one else has the right to govern the world except the U.S. It's the only legitimate government in the world. If it's paired with a word, nationalist, then they think that, white nationalist, Christian nationalist, black nationalist even, whatever, then they think that only that group of people has the authority and the right to govern. Christian nationalism is a belief that he just espoused. He wants to force people to live under his little system, everybody. And if you're not Christian, you're going to pretend to be until you actually are. He is a Christian nationalist who wants to impose his will and beliefs and values on everybody around him and damn everyone else's feelings on the subject. That is the core issue here. That's what I have a problem with. Trying to pretend to assuage fears. He's not even trying.
Mess. I don't see us getting out of this apart from things getting worse and worse, and then eventually, like a Caesar type rising through the ranks, a populist, figure, and the people.
He's literally describing exactly how Hitler rose to power. This is exactly what happened. He rose to power on the banner of moral decay, and communism is out to get you, and Marxism, and they're all evil. And the poor working man should support him because he'll support the poor working man. And he's only looking out for, this group of people who are patriotic and love their country and all that stuff. Literally describing Hitler here and saying, I want that. Does anyone else see a problem with this? Is this just me?
Rising through the ranks, a populist, figure, and the people, the political will of the people, the people are desperate, and they're like, yes, do it, so-and-so, and then so-and-so, Constitution be damned, just rules with an iron fist.
Like 1933 Enabling Act in Germany. 1933 Enabling Act is exactly what he just described. Hitler comes in, and an act is passed that gives him the ability to pass laws and dissolve the Reichstag, their Congress and everything else. He is literally describing the chain of events that happened in Nazi Germany.
And then so-and-so, Constitution be damned, just rules with an iron fist, and like a Cromwell type,
yeah, an iron fist, rules with an iron fist. So if anybody opposes him, they'd do what? They'd execute him, right? I assume in this little fictitious world that he's building, where that person presumably is Donald Trump, right? And comes in and forces people to obey Christianity or whatever, follow those dictates. Hitler was the target of an assassination attempt in 1944. I think it was 44. And it was like a wide-ranging, military and a whole bunch of other people put a bomb together, and they put it in a briefcase. They set the briefcase down next to Hitler in this room. And some other guy picked up the briefcase and moved it to the other side of the room because it was in the way, because he was trying to sit near him or whatever. And the bomb went off, and I don't think anybody died. I think Hitler had a dislocated shoulder, and that was it. But iron fist ruling is exactly what Hitler did after that happened. That was called the, oh my God, what was it called? It was July 20th, 1944, I think. It has a special name, the assassination attempt does. But Hitler ruled with an iron fist when he found the 6,000 or so collaborators that made it possible in the first place. He had at least some of them killed with piano wire. Iron fist. I guess that's the kind of thing this guy wants, right? It's ironic for a Christian nationalist to say, we need a Caesar, considering most Caesars were about as far from modern Christian morality as one can get. That's a very good point. Absolutely. Who was it? It was Emperor Constantine who really got Christianity on its way, right? But all of the Bible books speak negatively about the leadership of Rome. Rome is not the good guy. It's so funny that he's comparing this to Caesars. The Caesars were not the good guys. In fact, the book of Revelation is all about how evil the leader is in that moment. Emperor Nero. It's just like, it's so backward and insane. I don't know what to do with this.
Cromwell type, and then you hopefully don't get his son. Maybe then you're able, and then you maybe it's just a one.
Hopefully don't get his son.
Maybe it's just a one generation, one guy kind of thing.
Maybe. But you know what has had to happen historically since the dawn of time, when there's a world leader who is an authoritarian nutcase who rules with an iron fist. He inevitably believes that he has the authority to rule everywhere else to the entire world. So he gets all imperialistic and tries to take people over and impose his will on everybody, not just the people in his country. So if you get somebody that you're like, of the personality that you're describing, he's not going to give it up. It's not happening. That's like the whole bit. He took it in the first place the way he did, seized power illegally because he wanted power. Jesus, dude.
Thing, and then you have to move back to aristocracy or some other form.
Move back to aristocracy? What? He wants aristocrats running the country? Oh, Project Valkyrie. That's what it was. Project Valkyrie. Thank you. The assassination attempt against Hitler was Project Valkyrie. Forgot the name for it. Such a cool name, too. Can't believe I forgot that. Again, like, the guy shared a stage with a bunch of people, Dusty Devers being the most prominent among them, a member of Congress of Oklahoma. Actually, is he a state? Oh, yeah, he's Oklahoma State's Senate. Oklahoma Senate. Okay, so he's a state-level senator, but still, dude, he's on the national stage. That's insane. And state-level senators and congressmen eventually, commonly, move up to federal level. That's like the next step. So he shared a stage with a state senator in Oklahoma and this guy right here, Doug Wilson. Listen to Doug Wilson describe what he wants.
The president could issue a proclamation that acknowledged that Jesus rose from the dead, and Congress could authorize the funds to have that proclamation printed and bound, read in all the schools, and posted in all the federal courthouses.
Of course, that would be illegal, but again, in Germany during World War II, the era these people seem to really admire, or at least frame everything about that system as positive, bare minimum. As in Germany in World War II, Hitler violated the spirit of the Constitution more often than not. It wasn't really the letter of it wasn't really the law. He didn't break the law or the constitutions very often. He did, but it was in little ways. He stretched it, like Donald Trump saying he can pardon himself, for example. That's not really what it was intended for at all. And nobody, even Richard Nixon, believed that you could pardon yourself. But you're stretching it a little bit. You're having it evaluated and you're doing everything you can to kind of violate the spirit of it to the best of your ability. This right here, what he just described, this is a complete violation of the spirit of the Constitution and the letter of the law, I think, in this case. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, what was it that he described again?
The president could issue a proclamation that acknowledged that Jesus rose from the dead, and Congress could authorize the funds to have that proclamation printed and bound.
Is that not like a complete violation of the letter of the law, not only the spirit?
Read in all the schools and posted in all the federal courthouses. That could be fun. The Supreme Court could take up a new religious liberty case, ideally one with Jack Phillips in it, and in their decision they could reaffirm and reboot the decision of the Supreme Court in the 1892 Holy Trinity versus the United States case, in which the court determined that the United States was in fact a Christian nation. And
I don't know what he's talking about, but again, these people just make stuff up all willy-nilly. Like, they don't even care. They just fabricate information. Like in another episode, I'm not sure if it's on this channel or on my main channel, but in another episode, I talked about David Barton, this propagandist for the far right, just making things up. You're just lying, like brazenly fabricating information and claiming that it's true.
And had been such from the beginning. Or the Apostles' Creed could be incorporated into the Constitution. None of these actions would establish a particular Christian denomination.
Well, I don't care about denominations. It says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And the Supreme Court has expanded on that and built it into what Thomas Jefferson intended. We know what Thomas Jefferson intended by what was in the Constitution in that line because he said it in letters to Danbury Baptist Church. Danbury Baptist was unhappy that there was a state church in Connecticut. It was a Calvinist denomination. They wanted to be able to do their thing too. And they wrote a letter to Thomas Jefferson and said, does this not violate the Constitution? And he says, yes, it does, as a matter of fact. And we're working to get it to the Supreme Court to force this to come to an end. And it did eventually. Took a little bit of time, early 1800s, I think. But the Supreme Court in the Founding Fathers era, when Thomas Jefferson was around, formed out a secular state fully. The Founding Fathers wanted a secular state so that everybody could live under. They did not want a Christian state.
Constitution. None of these actions would establish a particular Christian denomination as being the mascot of the government.
He seems to think that Christianity is the only religion and denominations are like, I mean, he's upgrading denominations to the next level. Like what? I don't care if it's promoting Christianity over anything else. Anyway, yeah. Shared a stage with Dusty Devers. All these guys sat together. By the way, I'm going to be probably watching this on my Unfiltered channel. Like not this, but the entire stage performance that these people gave. They were sitting on stage together talking. Hang on, I actually have it here. Yeah, this right here. Here you go. Doug Wilson. I don't know who these two chuckleheads are on the right, but here, just in the thumbnail, you can see Dusty Devers on the left, Joel Webbin next to him, then Doug Wilson, and then these two chuckleheads, whoever they happen to be. It was a panel, live panel on biblical patriarchy and Christian nationalism. Devers, Wilson, Salve, Kahn, and Webbin. Insane! What is going through these people's heads? Anyway, let's listen to him talk about women and their right to vote. Sorry it's low quality, but I did my best.
Let's say you can wave your Christian nationalist wand. We wake up tomorrow in a Christian nation, a Christian nationalist nation as you're describing, all right? There's a lot of fears that people have. Here's one of them. Will women have the right to vote tomorrow if you wave that magic Christian wand?
No.
Okay, why not? I want to.
What is wrong with him?
Get into why not? Yeah, that's great.
Because if we had a Christian nation tomorrow, and women did have the right to vote, we would not have a Christian nation within 50 years.
Oh, because women. Wait. I actually have a quote from Hitler here, an exact quote. Okay, when Hitler went to prison for high treason in like 1923 or something, he wrote down a whole bunch of stuff about propaganda that he was going to use, and he said, propaganda must be distilled into a few small slogans and repeated until every idiot has heard and understood the basic point. The public's power to forget is enormous. It should always be based on emotion, not reason, because most people are feminine. Women think with emotions rather than logic, so you have to appeal to that emotional thought that feminine men and women all have. I love that. Just everything about this is just insane. Just insane.
We would not have a Christian nation within 50 years.
Because women think with their hearts and rather than their heads, I guess, and it's only logical to believe that God is this extremist, imposing figure that tries to force people to bend to his will, I guess.
Okay, elaborate a little bit on that.
Please.
Because the husband has been appointed by God as the head of his home. And no-fault divorce and women's suffrage, more than anything else, ultimately split the household. So
women's suffrage and no-fault divorce split the household because women can get out of a really bad relationship or a loveless relationship if they want. That's bad, I guess. That's totally unjustified and wrong, and that's what brought the degradation of society, apparently. Women and their right to vote. Okay. Wow. He's going there. What's really sad is that, like, Steven Crowder got divorced from his wife, and I don't remember this no-fault divorce thing being in the public consciousness until he brought it up. during the divorce. He said, "Not a choice that I made. My wife is divorcing me against my will." And for some reason, we're allowed to do that in society. And suddenly, the public consciousness exploded with people like this talking about no-fault divorce and how wrong it is. That's crazy, man.
We're not talking about women not having a say in society.
No, that's exactly what you're saying. Like, again, he's trying to assuage fears. Remember earlier, he said, we're not talking about forcing Christianity on people. We're talking about forcing you to pretend that you're Christian. No, that's the problem. How much you want to bet he does the exact same thing here? We're not talking about taking women's right to have an effect on society away. What are you talking about then?
A say in society. We're talking about representative government.
That's right.
Right now, there are people in Williamson County, Texas, where I'm a resident, who represent me.
Oh, so he is saying that he wants to take women's right to vote away. Okay, go on.
No one gets to represent themselves in every single scenario.
That's right.
Okay, well, I mean, that's, yeah, I suppose a direct democracy is not always, at a certain point, there are too many people in the system for direct democracy to work. I understand you have diminishing returns, and having representatives to push bills and things is just kind of the best way to do it. There have been studies about this, but sure, okay, representative democracy, go on.
Every single scenario.
That's right.
We are all represented by somebody else, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and you vote for that person. You do have a say.
So why not have women and children represented by a man who loves them and is...
Okay, do they get a vote? Or are they like worth 3/5 of a person or something? Like what? So the woman and the 3 children get to vote in the family, and the man gets to vote too. They all vote for who they want. You know, the woman and the 3 kids want Joe Biden and the man wants Trump. Well, guess what? That guy has to act as a representative of his constituents and vote for Joe Biden. That's a real representation of what we have. What he's talking about is actually taking women's rights to have an effect on society away. What effect do they have on society then? If you're removing their ability to vote, I don't understand.
Willing to die for them, protects
the husband's willing to die for them. Great. That's fantastic.
them, and provides for them. I would love to be represented by just one person in civil government who has that level of commitment to
That's
me.
good.
Yeah, but men aren't part of civil government.
So,
and women don't vote in the family.
So it's not about, men get to vote and women don't. And no, it's about the household vote. The individual building block of society, according to the word of God, is not atomistic individuals.
Well, interesting. He's saying the Bible is not about atomistic individuals. Again, what does that have to do with a representative democracy? I don't understand why he's even bringing the Bible into the equation. You know why? Because he wants to impose his extremist Christian beliefs on everybody. That's why he's bringing it up.
Individuals, it is the molecule, not the atom, but the molecule of the family.
Yeah.
All right. He's taking the nuclear family analogy entirely too far.
The family unit should not be separated. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder.
And you think that voting, everybody having a say, is asundering men and women?
I believe that women's suffrage was just one liberal attempt by people who hated Christ to sever the covenant bond between husband and wife.
Get help, bro, for real. This is insane. That is absolutely nuts. What is wrong with these people? Dude said he wants a dictator. Dude quoted Hitler and used his propaganda methods. And he sat up there on stage with a state senator, and they discussed these ideas as if they have any validity. That's nuts. Tell me what you think in the comments. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. And take a look at my YouTube channels. Owen Morgan, where I talk about religious issues. Telltale Fireside Chat, where I talk about politics. Telltale Unfiltered, where I do long-form breakdowns of stuff like this, and take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.